Hello and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Iris van Nespen. Iris specializes in coaching business women reclaim their sparkle. Her passion is giving women the courage to rediscover themselves and to drop the identity of being the savior for everyone else besides themselves. She is no stranger to all the things that can wear a woman down. There was a time in her life when she was feeling joyless. Life, work, and children had left her feeling numb, and she slowly forgot who she was. It took a lot of personal growth for her to reconnect to her true essence. I am excited to welcome Iris to the stage and listen to her journey and how she overcame all those thoughts of disconnect. Welcome, Iris. How are you?
Fine. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, beautiful people. I'm
Yeah.
really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and share some of your journey and some of your inspirational um, learnings over the past few years, for sure. We're like curly hair girls today.
Yeah, I was just going to say that as well. Letting our hair down.
Yes, I love it. Where are you
That's what
calling in from? Where are you calling in from, by the way?
I'm in the center of France. I'm in the center of France, and I just wanted to say that's one of the things that changed for me as well. Is since I claimed myself back, I'm letting my hair down again because I'd been walking around like this for years, like because of my job and then because of time and because of So I wasn't embracing my hair anymore, which is not that important, but it's like a sign. When I started working with my hair down, it was like, I'm getting back there.
Yes, I love that. Also,
Mhm.
I think even just kids in general, when you have little kids, you kind of just want to just pull your hair up. It's like one less thing that you don't want to have to
Mhm.
worry about. I
Yeah,
totally get
and
that.
mine are they have hair that's much worse than mine, so I spend hours sometimes. But we try to manage.
They have curlier hair than you have?
Well, my husband is black, so the combination between this and this and his hair, but like, and they're all three of them have different hair, so all three of them have well, but it's fun and it's not so fun at the same time. Depends on the days.
Too funny. Wow, that's cool. That's very cool. I always admire individuals that have like that afro kind of look because I
Mhm.
sometimes wish my hair was just a little bit bigger, just like a little bit bigger. But listen, I'm super excited to have you here. I'd like to just kind of start out by giving you the floor. I would love to ask, what's one of the greatest challenges that you have overcome in your life, and what did you learn from that challenge?
Yeah, that's I've had several challenges, but I've never seen myself as overcoming big challenges. Whereas if I look back, they weren't that small. So my life did start with a challenge where my parents had a horrible divorce, but really horrific, and where I had to go and stay at my dad's for half of every holiday, but like a month during the summer, and then I couldn't see my mom. So that was my first big challenge that actually I up until recently I've always pushed it aside as like it happened, but I'm stronger because of it. But now with this journey I'm undertaking, I actually notice that it has had much more impact on me as a person than I've ever really allowed myself to admit, because I don't know why, but I've never seen myself as a victim of everything that happened, but it has actually, yeah, it has influenced me on how I behave, how I do stuff, and now I'm actually seeing that I'm working on it, because there are things that I don't like about myself, and I'm like, where does that come from? Because, for example, me and authority, I've always challenged authority, because my mom raised me to never take something somebody says like for granted, and just always look and be critical about it. And so I've always done that. But then when people start to bully, so start to become over, I become small. And I've noticed that about myself over the years, but never really stopped. And that's the thing, like, I learned now, it's to stop, listen, see what happens. Why do I feel this? I'd never really done that, so it would happen again and again. And now I know it's because, like, of my father, who was like, would like go for the iris, and then I would shrink down. And so I feel like, oh, that's why I do this. So now, whenever I feel it coming up, because when you start listening to yourself, you feel this feeling of like shrinking and contraction coming up, and like, not gonna happen again. And then it's nice to feel the change when you breathe and you say, okay, I'm here. Me, the real Iris, doesn't shrink down for bullying. And then you can take action. But it took me 43 years to really realize, yeah. So I would have bosses that were authoritarian, but I could stand up to, and they would like it. But then the moment it would go just that little step over, I would shrink down. And I'm a doctor, so in medicine it's very how you say that, hierarchical, like
Yeah.
bosses and stuff. So I would stand up to my bosses up to a certain point, and then at the end you were so tired by standing up that I felt myself shrinking. And I think that's where my real shrinkage started, is by being confronted by that too much.
Definitely 100. When did you, or actually why did you end up opening up a book or finding a mentor or coach or watching a video on,
This
power? Where did that come from? How did that happen?
um it was actually like I'd been feeling like I've always been very, I had a lot of vitality, and like I said, I'd always been standing up for the smaller ones, or like I'd always try to not shrink, and I felt myself becoming numb. I would say the last 5, 6, 7 years, I became number and number and number, and sometimes it felt like my life was happening around me, and I wasn't really being part of it. Or I would be with my kids and I would play with them, but my head would be somewhere else. So it doesn't feel fulfilling when you do stuff without really being there. And it started to really get me down. I started to really ask myself, where am I? What is happening? And then with my job, which I wasn't doing out of pleasure anymore, because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do with my job. So in the end, you just go with the flow, and I would come home completely empty. Um, I started looking for a way out, but I didn't know what it was, because, like, being a doctor, you earn a nice. It's not like in the States. Europe is not like the States, but you earn a nice amount of money, and I didn't know how I would be able to do this, or I didn't have the guts yet to change, and I didn't know what, because I've always wanted to help people, or I always wanted to get people, like, yeah, well, from sick to being healthy. Um, and then one um, Christmas, I was Christmas shopping for other people, of course, and I went into a bookshop to buy Christmas gifts for other people, and I saw the book Untamed. I don't know if you know it, by Glennon Doyle, and it's called Untamed. Stop Stop Pleasing, Start Living. And I took it and I was like, oh my God, this is my diagnosis. And I took it and I bought it for myself, which was like I hadn't bought a book for myself for a long time, because the other thing I did was stop reading, because whenever I read, I would get so into it that I was scared I would not be there for other people. I wouldn't be there for my family anymore. And like reading is one of the things I really, really love. And I stopped doing it because I don't know, no time, not being enough present. Like it's all these reasons that are no reason, because of course I can put the book down and make dinner, or like, but I started to close down all these things that I loved. So I read the book and I was like, oh my God, now I know what happened to me, or like how I can change it, how I can get my power back. And that's when I started. And then I did the Tony Robbins challenge. And at one point he said, it was own your, no, it was new life, new you, or new year, new you, or something like that. And at one point he said, the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. And I was like, oh my God, my quality of my life for the last few years has been overwhelm and stress. And I didn't know at that moment that actually I never seen myself as an anxious person, but I realized that actually I was living, I had a lot, that was anxiety.
Mm.
So I never put two and two, one and one together, or two and two together, to see that actually this state of overwhelm is a state of fear.
Yeah.
And so that's when I came in action. I was like, no, no, it's finished. I choose joy. And then, like, you start to open your mind and you start to look for joy, and you start to, yeah, s- live more in the moment. It's a very, like, how do you say it? Everybody's talking about living more in the moment now, but it's so true. When you start seeing the things that actually give you joy in the moment and do them, oh, everything opens.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the other day we were we were on a holiday on vacation with my children, my whole family, and we were in Milan, and there was this guy dancing in the street, like really like with music and stuff. And I took my children and said, look at him. And then we were looking, and he invited them to dance with
Mm.
him. And so they were dancing with him, and then they started inviting me, and I was like, what? What the heck? And we just danced in the middle of Milan in front of the Duomo. And I was like, well, see, if you look for joy, you can find joy
I love
there.
that.
That was so fun. Like that's like a memory that I won't forget. So we're trying to do stuff like look for it and create it. It's something you can create as well. So that's why. And then I started, yeah, reading and taking courses, and yeah, so taking the power back, taking my
Yeah.
power back, and I think everybody can do it. So that's how it all started.
I love it. I love it. Looking at your life now, as far as the changes that you've made, when you come across, you kind of mentioned when those feelings come up again, or when you're feeling a little down again, or whatever it is, what are some steps that you take to kind of pivot yourself, to get yourself back on track?
Mhm. Yeah, it doesn't work all the time,
Yeah.
but often when I feel it coming back, I pause. The first thing to do is for me is to pause and to say, what am I feeling? And to actually breathe, to actually breathe and like feel the feelings in the moment, which doesn't mean you have to go and wallow in them, but to recognize them and ask yourself, is this a feeling that I agree with, that I'm in harmony with in this moment? And if it is, sometimes it's really necessary to cry, and you cry, you need it. And sometimes it's like, no, it's actually not worth it in this very moment, or this overwhelm. For me, with overwhelm, that's the one that I'm managing quite well now. I breathe for like mindful breathing for 5 6 times, and that's already enough to find the peace back and to claim my power back again, and to say, okay, no, I don't need this overwhelm. thank you, I've seen you, but you can go now. And it actually works. It sounds silly, but just becoming aware of what's happening inside you, because we live so, that's the other thing I found, like we live so, we're always busy to actually not feel, to actually, and we're not aware what's happening inside of us. Like I wasn't aware that I was so overwhelmed. I knew I couldn't do stuff, but I wasn't sitting down and saying, why? What's happening to me or for me, or however, what's happening? How can I get, how can I transform it in something that's going to help me?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm doing now. I pause and I breathe and I let myself feel, and then I let it go most of the time. And sometimes it's just like too much. You need a little bit more time, but at least you're aware. And that's what I think, that's what I'm also with the women that I'm coaching. That's the most important process, is to become aware of what you think and of what you feel, because otherwise you can't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%. How do you
Mhm.
think this new way of thinking has helped you be a mom?
Oh, I being a mom for me is one of the most important. It's not a job, but things I can do in my life. It's
Yeah.
always been so. So also, even when I wasn't feeling great, I like being a mom was always very important. Being there for my kids was always being really important, but I wasn't always really present. So I've spent a lot of time with them, but being there wasn't always happening. Um, and this now, it's the same thing. Like I have moments where life is just really busy, but I can switch back.
Yeah.
Like I have this, I it's really nice because I'm more present and I'm more with them. So I have this, my littlest one, she's now 4, she's gonna be 5. And I remember the first time we played a game together
Mhm.
that I was present. I was so like I'm gonna go get tears in my eyes. I was so happy that I wasn't thinking about dinner. I wasn't thinking about
Yeah.
the table. I wasn't, and I was. It was the most stupid game with like two animals, the one a big and a small, and the one eats the other one. Like, and for the first time, I've always known it's not about the game, but this first time we were really playing, and we were laughing and chatting together, and it. I think we played for an hour and a half, and
Wow.
it was so much fun. And I was like, wow, this is such a big transformation to be there. Like also when we go together and we with the whole family when we go out,
Yeah.
just to be there and not to be thinking about dinner or to be thinking about this has to happen or they have to be in bed or they just be there and enjoy the moment and jump in the water, not sit at the like at the side of the pool, but be in the pool with them.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, definitely. Can you talk more on that as far as being present? Because I think that there's individuals that can understand the concept of it,
Mhm.
but it's very foreign to them on how to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's also something you learn. It's not something that just is that it's a it's simple, but it's not easy. Like it's a phrase I use a lot. It's clearing your mind of anything else. And like I said, not thinking about what I have to do afterwards. Like it's letting go, it's finding that peace in yourself and letting go of all the stuff that you have to do, because that's also something we have so many have to do's, and they're actually not true. It's not true. Like we have to stop living our lives by to-do lists. There we make them, but that's one of the first things I did when I started this journey is look at my to-do list that's in my head, because I don't write them down, but and I started to scratch all the things that I wasn't going to do. Because for me, my life, it's always been, I can do this. I can do this. Instead of like, can somebody else do this? And I pay them. No, I can do it. I can, like, I would sand the doors, varnish the doors, stuff like that. If I like it, I leave it on my list. And if I don't like it, I scratch it and I give it to somebody else. And it's like, it's if it's not important, it can wait until we have money to do it. But I'm not going to put my time into it. So for me, creating time and creating this freedom in my head, this free space, has started by scratching all the things I had to do.
Got
And
it.
I started asking myself, what would I love? Would I love to sand the doors? If the answer is yes, I will do it. If the answer is no, I won't do it. Doors will still be there in a year's time. Simple stuff like that. If like, do I want to cook every day? No, I love cooking, but not every day. So maybe once or twice a week we take takeaway, or like my husband cooks a little bit more. So the question I've been asking myself a lot is, would I love it? And in the beginning, I didn't know anymore what I loved. I
Wow.
had no clue. Like
Wow.
I had no clue. I was like, would I love this? I don't know. And now I'm really starting to know what I love and what I don't love. So that's nice.
Yeah.
And I just like, I have a client, and whenever she and her family go to dinner, her children, who are like teenagers, ask her, Mom, please look at the menu in advance, because she's unable to choose. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's getting much better, but she says, like, I have the menu in front of me and I sit there for 10 minutes and I don't know what to choose. So these are these patterns that I start recognizing with a lot of women and
Yeah.
men as well, but I think even more women, because we've been conditioned to serve and not to think about ourselves. And I think we have to do both. I think we are there to love. Like for me, joy and love is the most important. But love is giving, but it's also listening to yourself when you want to give, and
Yeah.
not when you feel like you have to. And then it becomes beautiful. And then when you back into that peace with yourself, the present moment becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
Mm,
Definitely. I agree
that's
with you.
yeah.
What is the meaning of life?
Oh, the meaning of life. I think that's a question that's never really been answered. But
Yeah.
to me, the meaning of life is, I have several categories of meaning of life. For me, the meaning of my life is to feel joy and to feel this happiness and to be with my family, and to be a really good mom, in the sense that to be a guide to my children, to let them be who they are, not to control them too much. I don't know if you know the poem by Khalil Gibran about, like, your children are not your children. Ooh, that's a poem. Please look it up. Um, and it starts with your children. I don't know why, but I I love it so much. I have it on a post-it, the beginning, and it goes, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they don't belong to you." Yeah, that's only the first, how do you say that? Strophe? How do you say
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful poem. And to me, that's the poem I'm trying to be a mom by.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's a really, really beautiful poem. Your children are not your children, or on children, it's called. So, and I have felt a difference in that too. Because I always thought I wasn't a controlling mom, but becoming even more conscious and letting them be even more who they are, and guiding them, and like still have to do, like, clean the cleaning, and they can't just be
Yeah.
free roaming. But the relationship with one of my daughter has just exponentially increased, because we're not fighting anymore, and it's so beautiful. She's 9, and I love it so much. It's become so harmonious, and I'm gonna cry again. But it's so beautiful to see how my attitude has changed and her attitude has changed. So it's really beautiful. And then the other meaning of life for me, that's the question. The meaning of life is to give back. to give back and to try to make this place a more beautiful place for like everyone, but not only humans, but animals and the Mother Earth. I really believe that when people wake up to their own power, and to me, their power is joy and love, well, you also wake up to the beauty around you. And I hope that when people wake up, they will also see the beauty of our planet, because I think we are doing so much destruction because we don't know better, or because we're so much in so much anger and suffering without doing anything with it, that we actually cause the same to other people, but also to our planet. So my one of my missions, which is like gigantic, is to help people also open their eyes to the beauty of this planet and help to protect her, because I believe that she's not going to disappear, but we might cause our own destruction. And
Yeah.
humans are so beautiful at the same time. I mean, when human like we went swimming in the river here the other day, and I was sick. I wasn't feeling very well, but I went anyway, and I was looking around, and I saw all these faces laughing and having fun, and like that's the true nature of humankind to me. When people are relaxed and have joy, and you see the energy, that's fantastic.
100.
Yeah. So, and you can create that for yourself. I'm sure that everybody can create that. Have even if life is difficult, you can still create that for yourself and find your inner strength once you look back into that love and joy that's inside of you. Once you start remembering who you really are, then and stop getting rid of the shoulds and the musts and the I have to and what will other people say. Other people don't really care. That's also
Yeah.
something, like other people don't really care. They will say something, and 2 minutes later they have forgotten that they were even talking to you. So why does it hurt us so much when other people say stuff?
Yeah.
Mm,
I agree with you.
yeah.
Definitely. I like how you were talking about your daughter
Mm,
and the dynamic of the relationship and how it's changed because how you have changed. I
mhm,
think that that's such a great testament to not just parents, but also people in relationships that
mhm,
we could, it's not like 100% guaranteed,
mhm.
but we could alter the dynamic of the relationship by just showing up differently
Exactly.
for them.
Exactly. Even with like I'm with my partner for 26 years. We've been together, and this last year and a half, 2 years has changed our relationships like tremendously. It's mind blowing. Like I've always loved him so much, but now it's just like something is different. We connect much more. I've let go of a lot of assumptions, because that's also a big one. We think so much that we know what the other one is thinking, but that's not true.
Yeah.
And I've made so many assumptions about what he was thinking or doing or why. And I thought I knew him, which I do, but not as much as I thought. So by starting to listen more and to ask more questions, and to, when something doesn't go like I want it to go, my way is not always the best way.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. And sometimes, even if it's the best way, I can still let the other one have his way, because I don't have to be in control or in charge all the time. So that was also like, I'm not controlling, but I feel now I've let go much more. And since I've let go much more of how everything has to be, or like he's been doing much more as well, because I let him the freedom to do it. And sometimes it takes more time, but then does it have to be done now? Maybe it can be done tomorrow. So
Yes. Does he notice a difference? Have you guys talked
yes,
about it? Has he
yes, he notices.
really?
Yes, 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 he does. And like he notices a difference in himself as well.
Wow.
And like it's something that really changed for me. Something as well is we went on walks just the two of us in the morning. Now we haven't been doing it for some time, but we did it for a few months, like twice a week. We
Mhm.
would go for a walk for half an hour, and that was just like we talked between us, but not even about the kids often, just talking where you don't have the time during the day because life is busy, the kids are there, in the evening you're tired and you just want to sleep, or so it's that has been relationship changing as well, just going for a walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very
Taking
cool.
the time, again, being in the moment and taking the time to for things that are important. And often we take time for things that are not really important, and we
Yeah.
don't take the time. So I another thing that has changed my life is starting to schedule things. I'm not a I'm not a scheduler. Like, I don't want to be like monotone, but a few things need to be scheduled to be done because they're important. Yeah,
Definitely.
that's what I've been doing as well.
Definitely. 100%.
Mhm,
I myself, that's what I
mhm,
teach. I teach time management,
mhm.
organization. And once a person starts, planning out things, you start to recognize that life flows just a little bit easier. A lot of times individuals don't want to do that because they're like, I plan and then it never goes through, or something else pops up, or this and that. And yeah, that does happen. That is part of planning. Sometimes things do, you
Mm,
know, run things off course. But for the majority of time, it is just such an ease of mind to
exactly,
know, at certain times or certain days or weeks or what have you, of certain things that are happening within your life. It just feels good. You
exactly.
feel like you have more control over where you're going.
Yeah, and exactly. And I this last year and a half, 2 years, I've never done that before, but I had courses and they were like on Wednesday at 8 every week, and that at 8 in the evening. Yeah. So because I do a lot with the States, which is not the best the best time for me, but anyway. And Thursdays 1 week and two at 6. And my whole family knew I'm doing this. And there was no discussion. So it was planned, and on my own courses that I teach, it was planned and it was completely accepted. And I've
Yeah,
never done that in the 12 years that I have my oldest is almost going to be 13. I've never taken that time every week for myself to do something
exactly.
because I felt guilty or because, oh, there is no time. But when you schedule it, it happens and they actually respect it. And nobody has ever discussed it with me. So I felt guilty before even taking courses because I wouldn't. And also, to be honest, being a doctor, I had a lot of night shifts, so I wasn't there every evening. So that was also very difficult for me to then schedule something for me on top of
Mhm.
it because I want to be with my children. I want to be there and put them in bed. And when I would go to work, I wouldn't see them for 24 hours because they would be in bed when I got home or they would go to bed when I left.
Got
So,
it.
yeah. So that's also a reason I didn't take that time for myself, but I would urge everybody to please do it and look at something that you love and take the time for yourself because it gives you energy.
Yeah,
And it gives you the energy to give. It fills you up. And when you're filled up, you can give all that love back. When you
definitely.
don't have love to give, when you don't have love in yourself, and when you don't, it's also the same with self love. When you start loving yourself enough, you can give love without judgment, without asking something in return. Because often we give what we call love, but that's not really love. Right? It's more connection because we want something back. But when you're back into your core, you don't need anything back. It's
Ex-
nice, but you don't need it.
Yeah,
And it will actually come back even more because people don't feel like they have to. When people feel like they have to, they have, like, everybody has it. Me too. They oops, the resistance comes up and you actually don't want to. So yeah, that's what I found as well. And
definitely.
I'm actually quite surprised by when I look around me because I've never had a lot of, I've never had self hatred. I've had a lack of some love, maybe, but never like this auto flagellation. But I see so many women around me that really don't love themselves. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're so beautiful. Why don't you love yourself? You're beautiful. Look at what you do. Look at your children. Look at what. So that's why for me, my posts a lot, they go about self-love and how to start listening to your inner voice and asking yourself, would my friend talk to me like that? If the answer is no, why are you talking to yourself like that?
Yeah.
Give yourself some credit because
Yeah.
you are beautiful.
I
And when you
agree.
start giving things to yourself that you love, it becomes easy inside and you can start giving back instead of grabbing onto whatever is left.
Yeah, for sure. What do you wish for?
For myself or for the world? um, I wish, I actually really deeply wish for people to reclaim their, I call it reclaim your sparkle, to reclaim their sparkle, but it goes much deeper than that. It's like reclaim your inner peace, reclaim who you are, because when you are truly who you are, it's actually really beautiful. Um, and when you can let go of the anger and the shoulds and the musts and the have to, and when you feel what's really really important to you, what are your values. I wish for everybody to feel joy a lot of the time. You can't feel joy all the time
Mhm.
because there's always bad things happening, if you call them bad things, but if things that are not going your way,
Mhm.
even those, often when you change your perspective, you can see what you can learn out of them instead of judging them,
Yeah.
and find this inner strength and be beautiful, because like beauty comes from here. It's nice to have a nice body, it's nice to but the beauty, like you can have a really beautiful person that's actually not a little bit ugly because of the way they
Yeah.
behave.
Yeah.
So, and I would really encourage everybody to go, like the my slogan, my slogan now, my logo slogan. I'm mixing.
That's
It's
good.
now, it's by Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't know if you know Thich Nhat Hanh. It's Buddhist Zen master who passed away very recently, and he's done a lot of peace work in the world. He was actually nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King.
Wow.
So yeah, he's a really beautiful person, and he says the way out is in.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
I think it's really beautiful. And every time I feel like I'm losing myself, it's like the way out is in. And the only thing you can change in your life is you. And it starts there. And it doesn't mean change you because you are good, but change the way you feel, change the way you think, and then you start changing the way you act. And I don't know, like if you want a better relationship, start looking inside, like how can I be better in my relationship? Like with my kid as well, with my daughter, she was often angry for I didn't know the reason, but like there were probably reasons at school and with the siblings and with me probably. And just by giving her more space and just instead of getting angry when she was angry, I would like it's a very funny thing. I would make strange animal noises. So she would like be impolite and would look or something, and then she would look at me, and then I would go away. And I did that several times, and every time she's like, "What are you doing?" But the pattern of being angry or of being impolite was broken.
Wow.
And after a few weeks, I didn't get mad anymore. The anger is almost gone. Like it's so fun to see change
Wow.
change your patterns, change your we all have these patterns we're not even aware of.
Yeah.
And when you start to recognize them, like we always have the same fights. Why after 20 years do you still have the same fights?
I know. I
So
have refused to do that.
mhm,
I've actually talked about that. I'm like, I am refusing to
mhm,
have any more arguments about this. We need to find new things to argue about.
exactly.
I said that.
Maybe start singing a song or something,
Yeah.
like like one of the coaches I'm following, she had this advice, like if you are in a setting and you start arguing, it was more advice for the man to the woman, but you can do it both ways.
Mhm.
Start like taking clothes off, like every time you say something nagging, you take off your watch, and the other one knows what you're doing, and it just breaks your pattern. And if you're in public, you can't go very far. You have to stop. You have to stop one way or another. So she gives these advices that are like a little nuts,
Yeah.
breaks the pattern of continuing, or like start singing a song when you start fighting, maybe just
I
and then
love it.
then you make the other one laugh, and the fight is kind of finished, because maybe then you can find serenity and talk about it in another way. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm doing crazy stuff like that now.
I love it.
Mm.
Absolutely. I'd love to take a moment real fast and just acknowledge everyone who's hanging out with us right now live. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us while I talk to Iris. I also wanted to notate for any of you that are listening on the replay to make sure you hashtag replay and let us know who you are and where you're from so we can send you some love. But since we have an audience here, I would love for you to talk a little bit about what you do, who you coach, where people can find you.
Okay, so I started coaching women that are actually me in the past. So women that feel like they don't have grip on their lives, that like they feel like they don't know themselves anymore. Because at one point I was not thinking like, who am I? Because I've always known for me who I am, but I was like, where am I? Like, where have I gone? Where is this sparkly iris gone? And somebody told me, and I found it so beautiful, so I want to share that with you. He told me, I don't know if you know the Ruiz family from the Four Agreements. Have you read the
Oh
Four?
yeah, I know the Four Agreements.
So I went to an apprenticeship. I did an apprenticeship with them, and I went to um retreat in Mexico with them. And Jose, which is one of the brothers, he said, Iris, it's like the stars. The stars are always there. They're always there. And even if the sky is cloudy, the stars are always there. And there's always going to be a moment that the clouds are going to go away, and the stars will be bright again. So I found that so beautiful. So your star, your light is always there. Sometimes it's just not only waiting for the cloud, but also getting help, reading books, getting coaching, for it to like the clouds go away and then you can shine again. So I'm coaching a group of women now exactly on that, like how to reconnect with yourself, how to get your power back. And the coaching is a part on how to feel your feelings, how to recognize them, how you have all these limiting beliefs about yourself. And they're actually the ones that make your thoughts, and your thoughts make your emotions,
Yeah.
and those emotions make that you act. And it's a vicious circle. So once you start to break the vicious circle, you can start claiming yourself back. And then there is a part where we go into the relationship with your partner, because once you get a clear vision on who you are, you can actually also start seeing your partner for who he is, because often we have a vision of the person we spend our lives with that is not right, and we don't let him or her be who they truly are.
Yeah.
So it's also reconnecting with them and reconnecting with your kids. So it's a whole, and the last part, but that I'm still integrating, is how to reconnect with our planet, with Mother Earth, because I feel that a big part of our disconnect is because we're not connected to our planet anymore. We don't know where our food comes from. We don't know um, how flowers grow. We don't like we're not connected to the place that actually feeds us and lets us live.
Yeah.
So that's why that's the part that I still have to really connect with it. I have a little one. Come here. I have a little one who hasn't been able to manage the hour.
Love it.
Bezig, schat.
Ja, maar wil je de auto eventjes openen?
Dan moet aan Fokke vragen. In mijn zakje zit de sleutel.
I love it.
We almost made it.
I love it. Absolutely. What was their name?
That's Moana.
Moana.
And my biggest girl's name is Ayanda, which is a South African name. She
And
was born in South Africa. And then my biggest boy, that's Kezia.
Gizia.
Kezia. So they all
Very
have names that are like, yeah, have a link to what, yeah, we have a whole story about the names, but yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm.
So the website above your head area, is that the best place for people to, is your
That's
social media linked on there?
The social media is linked on there. My Facebook page is just my name,
Okay.
and my Instagram is Reclaim Your Sparkle. I've started it, but like I'm still trying to manage all of it because
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But you can go to the website or just DM me as well. And I'm going to start a new program. Like I'm going to do a challenge at the end of August, normally the 24th, 5th, and 6th, just so people can have a taste of what it is. And then my new program starts in September, beginning of September.
Beautiful.
Love to. It's group coaching. So because I believe and I see it now as well that when you're together, you recognize what you feel in each other,
Yeah.
and I can help and I can empower, but also the other women are just, it's so strong to see everybody uplift each other. And that's why for me, my heart is with group coaching at the moment anyway. So
Fantastic.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
What's your biggest wish for Reclaim Your Sparkle?
Oh, I have big plans. I
Tell
would
us.
I would really love to not create a movement of women being strong, but like you're doing this as well. I mean, it's and it's not only women. I think it's for everybody, but I feel more like I can help women more directly than men because it's, yeah, you have the same past, you feel the same with your kids. It's sometimes completely overwhelming,
Yeah.
although they are the joy of my life and I I'm so happy they're there. It's just trying to manage everything together. So I quit my job now, my ER job, physician job. I quit it to focus on this um, because I saw so much suffering
Yeah.
in the mind, and that's not helped. Like when they come to the ER, we have people that come regularly, and you see they're suffering, and nobody helps them. So my wish would be for as many people as possible to find joy back. And I think when you start with women, they're often like, doesn't seem like that, but they're the boss of the home. And so
Mm.
the ripple effect is even bigger because when you are feeling great, your children will feel it. There will be much more happiness in the family. Your husband will feel it, and even in the job. Like it's such a big ripple effect. So I would love to have a big group, and I would love to do some public speaking as well. So to, yeah, ignite this passion for yourself, because when you are in love with yourself, you're gonna be in love with everybody else, and
Yeah.
I think that's the most powerful thing that can be. I believe in the power of love. I believe that love is the biggest power we have on this planet, the biggest strength. I believe it's much bigger than hatred, and we just need to rekindle it. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's my wish.
That's absolutely. What's some advice you would give to females who are feeling overwhelmed at the moment?
Um, that's also, start asking yourself, would I love this? Like
Love that.
that's really, really important. Like, would I love this? Do I love this? Um, Stop living your life with a to-do list. Like what is necessary? I started thinking what is really necessary for my family. What they need is my love, my presence. They need food, they need clothes, they need to be able to go to school. But all the other stuff is actually not really necessary. The house, it's nice to have a clean house, but it doesn't have to be impeccable all the time.
Yeah.
For me, if I spend too much time cleaning my house, I don't have time for my kids. So trying to find ways to delegate, delegate the things you don't love as much as possible. It's not always possible, but it's so much more possible than you think. And start stopping. Really stop. When you feel overwhelmed, stop. I actually made a really beautiful booklet a few months ago. I actually put it on my Facebook page again, how to stop overwhelm in 6 steps. And it gives you 6 steps on how to stop overwhelm. Make a no list, for example. Your no can be a full sentence, like no. You don't
Yeah.
always have to say why. If you
Yeah.
say no, that's enough.
Yeah.
So that's also the thing we women do. We always feel the need to explain. We don't always have to explain ourselves.
Yep.
Just and start following your intuition, start following your gut. If you know it's no, or if you know it's yes, do it. Trust it. Breathe.
Yeah.
And then the other advice I would give is start reading. I read Untamed, which I loved. I read The Four Agreements, which I loved. And then getting a coach really helped me as well. Getting regular support where you can ask questions, where you can get the support you need when you feel that something is not going the way you would love it. Sometimes just talking about it already sets it free. So that's the other advice I would give.
Absolutely. Thank
Help.
you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and the fact that you came on and spent some time with me sharing your story. I so appreciate you and everything that you're doing with the female community. I think it's absolutely beautiful. For
Thank you
those
for
of you that Thank you. For those of you that resonate with Iris and all of the beauty she is bringing, make sure that you check out her website, follow her on social media, and reach out to her with any questions that you have on the group coaching that she does. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. Thank you so much for those of you that are still hanging on, listening live. Thank you for being here.
Bye bye.
Anyone who's hanging out on the replay, make sure you reach out. This community is expanding every single day, and we are filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others